Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Game, presented by Tunnel Vision Sports. I am your host, Stephen Hayes, and today our guest is pro golfer Garrett May. Garrett, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Stephen. How are you?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you taking the time out. I reached out to you and you came right back. You said let's do it. So,
yeah,
obviously I'm excited because this is the first time I've got the chance to talk with a golfer on any level. So, I wanted to kind of, respectfully deep dive into your background and let me know how you got started and, how you became the person you are today.
Yeah, that's great. I really appreciate you reaching out to me. I think this is going to be really fun. So quick background on me. I grew up in a small town of Hope, Arkansas. I think at the time, it couldn't have had more than 10,000 people. And there's just a small municipal golf course there. And my dad played a lot, and so he took me out there. And it was in a small school in Arkansas, so I did play multiple sports, football, basketball, and baseball growing up. And the sample size of talent was smaller, so I could do that with my small stature. But I finally realized I really loved golf, and that was kind of what I really enjoyed doing. And also, I really enjoyed getting better. And I think that's different than just loving the game in a way, because I did love the game and I still do, but I also got kind of obsessed with getting better. And the better I got, the more I had fun with it and stuff like that. And so I went to high school at Texas High in Texarkana, Texas, which was a much bigger city to, my knowledge. And then had a good high school career. And then I played college golf at Baylor University under the Coach McGraw, Mike McGraw. Who was a legend in his own right. I'm biased, but I think he was the best college coach in the world. He's great. And he honestly had such a big impact in both my golf career and also me as a person. And then I graduated Baylor in 2019 and stayed amateur through the summer, kind of strategically, and then turned pro the fall of 2019. And then obviously the pandemic, COVID-19 happened and put a little stint in my path, but it's been grinding it out ever since.
Now, I know you said your dad, took you back in the day, and that's how you kind of got started. Was there anybody that you were watching might have been on the television or, outside of your coach? Was there anybody that you were getting some inspiration from to make up in your mind and say, you know what, I want to do this as a career?
Sure. I don't know if there's any one specific person. Obviously, Tiger Woods comes to mind just because of how dominant he was and how, he did something that you're never going to see again in that period of time where he was just beating everyone. And, I grew up, my dad loved golf. I'd watch golf on TV. Everybody that was on TV playing was kind of an inspiration because they do it so much better and they're like the top of their sport. And I love watching people at the top of their sport, no matter what it is. Even if I don't know anything about it. I don't know much about soccer, but I'm watching the top soccer players and I'm thinking they're at the pinnacle of their sport. That's just really cool because you can learn so much.
Yeah, and that's actually how I got introduced to golf. Didn't watch it much growing up. I know my father would watch it and obviously seeing Tiger Woods dominate the sport, as you mentioned. But looking, and now, I won't lie. I can't sit there and hold a whole conversation about golf, but I do love the sport. Sure. I know I get picked on, my wife will pick on me because I'll watch, who's ever playing. And if they're on the roll, I'll get excited and I'll have that same passion as you'll have if you're watching a football game or a basketball game, whatever the case may be. And I know a lot of people, look at golf and ultimately they feel like it's a boring sport.
Sure.
And it's actually not. It's strategic, sure, but it's a very entertaining sport. So for those out there who might not have ever watched golf or who just feel like golf is boring, can you just talk about some of the excitement that you get when you're out there and when you're on that course?
Yeah, I completely relate to that because golf, watching it on TV, honestly, it is kind of boring in some aspects if you're not really into the industry. if you will.
Right.
It's fun to me because I relate to so many of those players and see them. But to maybe the average fan, it is boring. And it's the same way as like if I'm watching, I keep bringing up soccer, but like if I watch soccer, I'm not in that industry and I don't know much about it. So it's going to be boring to me, but there are people that really love it. So I think you just have to watch it in a different way and you just kind of figure that out. But you're asking me like what kind of like what's the excitement like when I'm on the course?
For you, what is that passion for you when you're out there?
It's just when I'm playing well and when I'm out there, I'm taking all of the time that I spend off the course and practicing, training and stuff, and seeing that relate to on the course in competition. You know, it's fulfilling, I guess, in a way, because you're like, okay, my practice and my preparation is going well, or I'm doing the right things because it's executing in competition. And then I don't know, it's just like anything, just being good at something should be fun, no matter what that is. If you have a hobby and you're really good at it, the better you get at it or the more you do well in it, it should make it fun, because it's like, you know, I practice it and I do it and I'm getting better. It's progress. And so I think if you want to be good at anything, you need to learn to love progress and love getting better.
And I wholeheartedly agree. And now I wanted to go back a little bit. I know you said 2019 you turned pro. Was that always the goal? The 2019, was that always the goal for you to turn pro that year?
It was.
Okay, and then tell me about the difficulties and everything that you had to overcome, being with the pandemic, and you know, obviously, you know, you're ready to go full force. 2019, you turn pro, and then pandemic comes right after. So what obstacles, how did that bring the challenge for you, and how did you maintain focus to continue going?
Yeah, that was interesting because I hadn't been pro very long, and I already had. So I turned pro fall in 2019 for qualifying school for the Korn Ferry. And for those that don't know, you've got the PGA Tour, and then you've got Korn Ferry below it. And so you go to Q school, qualifying school, and it's like a survive and advance. You've got first stage, second stage, and final stage. And they take like, you know, not very many out of first stage to make it through. Then even fewer make it through for second stage. And then you get to final stage and you compete and you earn your way on the tour. Well, I missed final stage by one shot in the fall of 2019. And so that was a disappointment. Then I go around and I go to the PGA Tour Latin America, which is underneath Korn Ferry. I go to their qualifying school and I get status. I earn my status. And so that's where I'm playing right now. So I get that in like January of 2020. That's when COVID happened. I played one event in Mexico, and then the whole world shuts down. And so I went from having this schedule that I knew was going to happen and really excited about it, putting aside the disappointment for Korn Ferry Key School. You know, I've got the tour that I'm playing on, and we're going to have a full schedule of events through 2020. We didn't play again until like December. Wow. So you've got all that time where it was a little frustrating because you're playing just main tour events and anything you can get in to both make money and also keep yourself sharp. And yeah, it's very difficult for a lot of people. But again, I kept motivated because I knew that my path doesn't have to be a specific path. It's my own. You know, just because somebody else has their own path, I don't have to follow them. So just trusting in myself, trusting what I'm doing, trusting my preparation and it's cliche, but trusting the process really. And that's what kept me going really.
Now, you talked about your coach, and you talked about how you said you might be biased, but you said you feel like he's the best coach. Talk to me a little bit about how he helped you in getting your career started and what implement he had in making all this happen today.
So I've got multiple coaches. Coach Mike McGraw was my college coach, but I do have to rewind back to the coach my swing coach, which would be my more like technical golf coach. His name's Jeff Jones in Texarkana, and he is amazing. I've been working with him since I was 12, and he played on tour and he did the thing. And so he's a huge resource to me, in just, number one, he knows the swing better than anybody, in my opinion. And also he's kind of been there. So he was very influential to me. But Coach Mike McGraw at Baylor, he had a weird or a different take on college coaching because he really didn't, he cared about your score, but he cared more about the person that you are. And some coaches are different. Some coaches just want results. He didn't really care about results. He just cared about how you're progressing as a human. And when I was in college, going into college, I had a huge temper on the golf course. It was very explosive. It wasn't doing me any favors. I would hit a bad shot and I would think that, I'm so much better than that, and I would get mad. And it would affect the rest of the round. And he really, really, really helped me with that. And that turned me not into a better golfer, but into a better person.
Now, I've seen plenty of golfers, watching them on TV get upset. You said you had a huge temper, and just like any other sport, a NBA player missing a shot or missing a defensive player, NFL, things of that nature. Because golf is one of those, as we mentioned earlier, it's a thinking man's game. Like all sports, respectfully, but golf is something that you really have to take, your mental and make sure that you're ready and prepared. So how do you just walk me through a day of getting ready to go out there and hit the course and play?
Well, I wake up and I go see my trainer, whether between 6 or 8 a.m. I like to get my day started early and then train with him and then get breakfast and then go to the course. And, I have kind of a checklist of what I want to do. And you try to peak at the right times. So if I have a tournament in 2 weeks, that first week might be a little less of a load than the next week because I want to go ahead and make sure my game's peaking at the right time. But, you just kind of know what you need to work on, whether, based on past experiences, do I need to work on putting today or do I need to hit a lot of range balls to get a different feeling in my swing? It's all about training muscle memory, and it's all about training a routine for the golf course, because when you're in competition and the pressure gets up, your body reverts back to what's comfortable. So it's going to revert back to your training. And the best way to overcome anxiety and pressure in golf and pretty much anything is having a specific routine that you've done a million times, that you know what it's going to produce. And when you're in competition, when you're in pressure, you can revert back to that easily, and it makes it a little bit more comfortable. And so that's what I try to do when I practice. You try to practice like you play. And so most all of my practice is geared towards a goal. And so you try to create some kind of pressure, whether it be a putting drill where you're like, I have to make 50 5-footers in a row. And if I miss one, I've got to start all over. Once you get to 41, 42, 43, you start getting a little bit more nervous, stuff like that. And you can't fully recreate competition when you're practicing, but you want to get as close as possible to where you just get more comfortable in every situation.
And now, what is the goal moving forward? Obviously, we realize even if it's not the height of what it was, the pandemic is still here and we still have to adapt to what COVID is. So what does things look like for you moving forward?
Well, hopefully the PGA Tour Latin America can get back to a normal schedule. A lot of things are out of their control and my control, which kind of makes it a little easier, because if things, you need to just focus on things you can control, and the things you can't control, they just are. So different countries having different protocols, different things in place, just being open and okay with things not going well. But I'm going to go to Q School for Corn Ferry in a couple weeks. So hopefully at the end of this December or November, actually, I'll be on the Corn Ferry Tour, which will really change my entire schedule because I'll be playing in the States rather than in South America. But yeah.
And that will be awesome, actually. So we're hoping the best for you there. And, I ask all of our guests, if you could leave any words of encouragement, to anybody out there if you want to be a doctor, lawyer, not necessarily just an athlete, but just anyone out there who's looking to achieve their goal, what words of encouragement would you be able to leave?
Trust your own path and go to bed a better person than when you woke up, whatever that looks like. I think a lot of people compare. I think comparison is terrible. I think it really hurts. You should hold yourself to a high standard, but you shouldn't compare yourself to other people because they're on a different journey than you are. And if you can go to bed happy with the progress that you made that day, or whatever it is, then you have nothing to worry about. And your path is going to be your path. And just grind it out. Just be a better you.
I actually like that, man. I appreciate that. Go to bed a better person than you woke up.
Yeah.
I actually like that. That is a great word.
And that can take as many forms as it needs,
It can. And the other thing you mentioned is comparison. I think obviously social media is heavily involved in people feeling like they have to do this in a certain amount of time or do that. But like you said, trust your path, move at the rhythm of your own beat. And I really like go to bed a better person than when you woke up. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you for those words of encouragement. And I thank you for sitting down, taking the time out with me. I know you're a busy man. So I appreciate it, man. This is Garrett May, Beyond the Game. We're out.